Let's turn to Western Africa. Tensions are peaking in the Sahel region. Algeria shot down a drone belonging to Mali's military. This happened last week. Algeria says the drone was armed and violated its airspace. Mali's military junta has denied the accusations. In response, they're accusing Algeria of sponsoring terrorist activities. Flights between the two countries have been cancelled, and joining the standoff are Mali's junta allies, Burkina Faso and Niger. They have recalled their ambassadors from Algeria. Algiers has responded in kind. It has also increased military deployments near the border with Mali. So what is the reason behind this flare-up? Our next report explains.
Africa is heating up. Tensions between two countries are pushing the Sahel region to the brink. Locked in this tussle are Algeria and Mali. It all began last week on the 1st of April. Algeria said it shot down a military drone. Algeria said the drone was armed and had violated its airspace, but the drone belonged to Mali's military and was flying along the border with Algeria. Mali has denied Algeria's claims. Mali's military says the drone was carrying out a routine flight and that it didn't violate its neighbor's airspace. The drone was eventually recovered by Malian troops. It was found in northeastern Mali, around 9 kilometers south of the border with Algeria. The incident has left Bamako fuming. They are now demanding answers.
The Malian authorities asked the Algerian authorities to provide them with evidence of the violation of their airspace by a Malian reconnaissance drone. No satisfactory response to the Malian request has been forthcoming for 72 hours. The transitional government concludes with absolute certainty that the Malian Armed Security Forces drone was destroyed as a result of premeditated hostile action by the Algerian regime.
The shooting down of the drone has led to a major standoff. Mali and Algeria have closed down their airspaces to each other. Now other nations are joining in and taking sides. Bamako's allies have responded. The juntas of Burkina Faso and Niger are backing Mali. The three countries share close relations. They left the ECOWAS grouping and formed their own bloc last year. It is called the Alliance of the Sahel States, and now Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger back each other on international issues. They have now recalled their ambassadors from Algeria, and people in Mali are supporting this move.
We used to believe that Algeria stood by Mali, but lately, what we've been hearing really hasn't made us comfortable. So the recall of the ambassadors, I'm in favor. Algeria needs to give a proper explanation.
They were the first to claim that they destroyed a Malian drone. We have to consider that Algeria is seeking war, and the next time they perform such an act, we will wish we had reacted to it.
But Algeria is not backing down, either. It has responded in kind by recalling its envoys from the three Sahel states. Mali has also accused Algeria of sponsoring terrorism in the region. Bamako says Algiers supports groups affiliated with ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Mali is referring to the Tuareg rebels that are active in the country's northeast. For years, Algeria played a mediator between Mali's government and the Tuareg rebels. But the dynamics have changed drastically in recent years. The 2020 and 2021 military coups in Mali have pushed the two countries away from each other. Tensions between the two are now flaring up. While Algeria is increasing its military deployment near the border with Mali. On the other hand, Mali is turning to its junta allies for support. If the situation is not quickly contained, the Sahel could be staring at another security crisis.
Many of you might hear of or might be following the tension between Mali and its neighbor Algeria. Yes, a serious danger for Mali is coming from its neighbor Algeria. Through history, Europeans and Arabs have always joined hands to oppress and decimate black Africans, and this should not be a surprise to any black person. The tension between these two countries is not something that is invented or that comes out of a fiction, but it is real, and it is rooted in concrete evidence of dishonest practices and animosity of Algeria towards Mali. It is worth mentioning that, for the past 4 years, Malians alongside with Malian army rose against the French because they accused France of looting their natural resources for decades if not for centuries. At the same time, the Malian army was also dealing with a separatist group called Azawad, which is armed and funded by foreign entities. These separatists have been trying to partition and undermine Mali. After they successfully managed to end the French neocolonization in Mali, the Malians and Malian army bravely and relentlessly fought the separatist group, which finally retreated to their bases across the border on the Algerian territory. It was during this fight or battle that the Malian army discovered on the Malian territory occupied by these separatists many oil and gas fields that have been exploited illegally by Algeria since 1970. As the Malian army regained control of the portion of its territory occupied by the separatist group and also stopped the illegal exploitation of its oil and natural gas by Algeria, the latter has become bold with its hostility and hatred towards Malians. The immediate and noticeable consequence of the Malian army's victory against the separatists has been a significant drop in the Algerian oil and gas output on the international market for the past 2 years. As one could easily predict it, Algeria has ultimately become bitter and very belligerent towards Mali. This is main cause of the current tension between Mali and Algeria. Many events have drawn my attention on the ongoing tension between Mali and Algeria, but 2 of these have surprised me the most. First, I personally find the Malians' posture in the situation and their response towards the Algerian blatant animosity and hostility to be timid and coward. After Algeria unjustly downed a Malian drone on Malian territory, Malians and their army should have geared up to deal seriously with serious threats from a very belligerent neighbor like Algeria. Instead, the foreign minister of Mali along with his counterparts from Niger and Burkina Faso immediately flew to Russia. There they were crying like children when they talking about their problems with Algeria with the Russian Foreign Ministry and the Russian authorities. As a black African myself, this is the kind of cowardice, ignorance, or naivety that makes me speechless and upset when it comes to black people and African. Should I repeat again that Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger left the West African States Economic Community or ECOWAS a while ago, and have already formed their own bloc called Alliance of Sahel States or AES? With their new bloc, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger even signed a mutual defense agreement that requires the 3 countries to defend each other in case of war or conflict. Like Mali, Algeria doesn't have technical expertise yet to produce weapons, let alone modern weaponries. So, Algeria has been buying, especially from Russia, modern weaponries that are not cheap. The latest was the acquisition by Algeria of the Russian Sukhoi 35, and Algeria is the first country in Africa to buy such warplane. Whether you accept it or not, the Russia Sukhoi 35 is right now the best combat airplane on the planet, and it is said to outclass the American F-16 and F-35. Should I remind you that Americans pretend to be powerful and technologically superior only in their own world and dreams? What has been preventing Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger to heavily arm also themselves with modern weaponries like Algeria and the rest of the so-called Arab nations in North Africa have been doing for a while? I am afraid the current leaders of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, and their fellow countrymen had already convinced themselves that they are poor compared to white people and Arabs. Not only has Mali been dealing with a neighbor that is very dishonest, but it also has been dealing with a neighbor that is barbaric and very anti-black. This is the real face of Algeria, that neighbor of Mali. Except black Africans, everybody understands that bully only respects bully, and brutality only respects brutality. While many black Africans like to say all day that they are smart, educated, successful, etc., they have been incapable of defending themselves from aggressors, of understanding the basis of geopolitics, or of elaborating a strategy for their own survival. Please, tell me, my fellow black Africans, what is your pride and dignity? If you recall, I spoke in one of my videos about the condescending, if not the cruel attitude, of the Malian current so-called revolutionary government towards some of their fellow black Africans who traveled to Mali to support Malians or who support remotely the Malians' fight against the French imperialists. Instead of supporting in their turn other black Africans like the Togolese who supported the Malian uprising against the French and Malian dictators and corrupted government, the current so-called revolutionary government in Mali and a large proportion of Malians openly side with the oppressive, brutal, unworthy, and dynastic regime of the Gnassingbé family that has been oppressing, murdering, starving, and enslaving native Togolese for almost 60 years. For Gnassingbé, the so-called president of Togo, seized power 20 years ago in a constitutional and bloody coup after the sudden death of his father, who was not just brutal but barbaric. For more than 60 years, the Gnassingbé family has taken Togo hostage, has been oppressing, depriving, and starving Togolese. As it reported, the so-called revolutionary leaders in Mali and Niger, Assimi Goïta and Abdourahmane Tiani, have suddenly become the adulators and admirers of for Nyasingbe because they have also been receiving millions if not billions of dollars of stolen money the Nyasingbe brutal regime has been giving out for almost 60 years to buy foreign support and to bribe high-ranking individuals, not to say anything about its several human rights violations. For the past 60 years, the brutal regime of the Nyasingbe family has also supported financially or enriched many politicians and individuals in West Africa, across Africa, and beyond in exchange for support. It seemed surreal when I heard a while ago the former Prime Minister of Mali Choguel Kokala Maiga and the transitional President of Niger Abdourahmane Tiani shamelessly described the oppressive and brutal Nyasingbe family in Togo as magnanimous. These statements from this Prime Minister and this transitional President said everything about the so-called revolutionary leaders and government in Mali and Niger, didn't they? What type of people and what kind of revolutionaries support brutal dictators against their fellow citizens? Due to some arrogance and the lack of empathy of Malians and Nigerians towards other black Africans, I decided a while ago to rethink about my support for the cause of Mali and Niger. As far as the tension or the looming war between Mali and Algeria is concerned, I only wish the Malians prevail because the Algerians and other so-called Arab in North Africa are openly very anti-blacks, condescending, and racist towards black Africans. However, I have no empathy or whatever for Malians and what they're dealing with at this point. The current so-called revolutionary leaders and governments in Mali and Niger are not the kind of revolutionaries we need in Africa. The lack of empathy and arrogance of many Malians and Nigerians towards their fellow black Africans is not the kind of behavior we black Africans can continue to tolerate in the 21st century. It will be shameful and suicidal if we black Africans continue to condone improper behavior or continue to support things that goes against our collective interests. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.